If I'm feeling the same way I'm feeling now, it should be a good one. It should. Yeah, we just had our I think last day of sparring yesterday, and it went real. It went great. So
The AllStar app, the #1 app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description. Carl, man, are you filming a show or something? I've been watching some content that it looks like. Are you filming something?
they're doing. I think it's like called Next Level.
Okay.
So they're doing an episode of like Next Level. So they followed from the Contender Series the day of, and they'll follow up until the debut, and then that's how it goes.
How did
Yes,
you
sir.
hook up with them?
I don't know. I was sitting there in my hotel room for Contender Series, still trying, figure out everything. So I'm sitting in my room for Contender Series, and I get a phone call from Miss Courtney from the UFC, and she's like, "Hey, we saw your interview, which I thought I did terrible on." When she's like, "Well, we saw your interview, and we'd like to you know, sh- shoot you, follow you around and different stuff." So they followed me during Contender Series, and they came out to South Carolina, followed me. Then they came out here while I'm out here in Vegas fighting. So I mean training. So they came and followed me at practice and stuff. So yeah, I do not know how because we did the interviews. The the little stuff they do before
Yeah.
the show before the fight, the walkout stuff.
Yeah.
We shot that, and they said they saw that. That I don't know.
Well, that's good, man. That's good for you. It's good for you,
Yeah,
man. It's very good
more
to get
exposure.
extra content out there, more promotion for yourself. Before we get into the fight, man, your debut, I just wanted to talk about 2022. It was an interesting year for you because you started off fighting for a PFL contract but ended up winning a UFC contract. So, how
Yeah.
was that roller coaster of a ride for you?
Um, it honestly for me it wasn't too crazy because I just want to be active. So my coach called me. I was looking for a fight. So my coach called me and was like, "Hey, PFL has something going on," and I thought it was going to be something good. And the tournament. I didn't know too. I knew they had the tournament style, but I didn't know too much about the stuff, how they run it. And then so I was like, "Okay, cool. Let's do it." Then they gave us the contract. They didn't give us the contract, but then we had like other different stuff going on behind scenes, so my management had to deal with that. But yeah, to then end up on another challenge series at the end of the year. And then you're winning the fight, so it's like you win that fight, you get the contract. So like that even made the like Contender Series fight. It was like, okay, even if you win, it's like you never know, you know. So because I both of the fights were similar, grappling heavy, dominant performance, and it's like, okay, well you win both, you lose the contract with one technically, then you win the contract with the other one. So, but I'm definitely happy with the one
Yeah.
that I won. So yeah.
Do you think the PFL fight and experience helped you prepare for the Contender Series, like more mentally? You know what I mean? To kind of like not put too much pressure on yourself.
I don't really honestly I don't put too much pressure on myself either way. A fight's a fight. I come from wrestling. You put too much pressure on yourself in these competitions. Um, you never know. You could have a bad week, stomach little bug or something, and you still have to go out and fight, and then something bad happens. Or even like I said, coming from wrestling, you wrestle every weekend, so you lose some, you win some, you just keep rolling. As far as like the PFL situation, helped me just like getting accustomed to the lights, and they're telling you like, hey, sit here, you're on stage, you're up to go, and like that production background, and just having to do the extra stuff on a certain level. So it definitely did help me in that aspect.
Ahead of the Contender Series, you were cutting down to 205, but then you fought at heavyweight. Why did you decide to make the switch?
They called me for heavyweight, so
Oh,
yeah, they called me. They was like, look, we got a heavyweight fight, and I've been offered a few heavyweight fights, but normally in camp before, like my first year pro, I'll start my camp at like 230 something, and then at the end of the camp, I'll drop down to like 225, 222, and then I'll cut from there. I actually started working out with one of my coaches at the gym, Coach Sid, beginning of last year, and was just like light workouts. And I'm ex football player and I used to lift weights and stuff. But since I started lifting weights, I gained a lot of muscle. So not thinking about it because my weight was still around the same amount. So I'm like, man, I'm out of shape. And I'm doing the workouts, doing everything. I'm like, man, I'm out of shape. And they called me. And our last two fights I had, I actually cut 20 pounds each fight. I'm like, what? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. And luckily, they called me for a heavyweight fight. And then afterwards, I came to the PI, and the PI actually at 237, I had like 15% body fat or so. So I was pretty decent, but I didn't know it because without the PI, you don't know a lot of stuff about your body. You know, you're going off of like, I used to be able to get down to 222, now I can't. You don't know why, but with the PI, they put it in perspective. So, yeah.
Did they kind of lay out a plan for you as well, like a meal plan and all, like a weight training program and all that stuff for you? So you kind of
Everything.
everything, so you could build your body into more of a heavyweight frame. Do you think?
Yes. So we weren't too much on like gaining a bunch of weight. Like we weren't trying to get like kind of like what you see John Jones did where he like tried to gain a lot of weight for the weight class. We weren't trying to do that. I gained a few more pounds solid. Like they go down to like even your bone density. Like I had like certain numbers in that, so they gave me stuff to like increase that. So we increased that by like 2 or so pounds, and this was like a while ago, and we increased like other little stuff here and there, but that wasn't like the biggest goal to like pack on weight.
Yeah, it confuses me sometimes how UFC fighters are taking like supplements that are not given out by the PI, because I know the PI sends supplements to fighters if they want them, right?
They send you any and everything. The UFC takes care of you, and I'm still new to the company. I'm not. I'm just being honest. Like if you go and use them, they give you like I have my trainer. She sends me all the workouts through an app. I have everything daily. If I have an issue, I even bought. I'm an Android person, but I bought an iPhone so I can FaceTime anybody that I need to. So like I'll FaceTime them in the middle of a workout in Georgia. She'll be in Vegas. She'll fix the form. She's like, okay. I'll even send her like airdrop stuff to her, and she'll like draw on it like, okay, your form should look like this, and she'll draw the angles, different things. So that's just like the strength stuff. They gave me the Aura Ring to track like sleep to see like okay, well, and they monitor it to help you like okay, well, you didn't sleep good last night, and we saw that you had an active day. Okay, let's lean off of this, and they'll change the workouts accordingly to that. So that's just workout wise. Then nutrition wise, like you said, they send you all the supplements you need. I had some. They gave me a bunch of different supplements. Once you get low, like they gave like creatine. I didn't really take it too much. Still trying to figure out how to like put. It's so many supplements. You're trying to like figure out how to put in your diet and your routine, like protein shakes, all kind of stuff. So they send you everything to your house in a nice box. And my person is Glenn, so I deal with Glenn, and then Becky. So those are the two people that I deal with. But like I said, I have their phone numbers. Call them, text them. They get back with you within like an hour or two. And they're like Vegas time zone, and I'm in South Carolina. So that's 3 hour difference.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a lovely thing, man. It's a lovely situation you're in. Now, you're in Vegas. So you split your camp from like Atlanta and Vegas? Is that what happened?
Yes, sir. So funny story. Sean Strickland is actually the reason why I came out to Vegas. We're sitting in the PI one day, and he's on the bike riding, and he just starts like he's talking how Sean talks, and he asked me a question. I answered the question. Then came back another day. He saw me walking in the courtyard. He's like, "Hey, aren't you like the rest of the guys?" Something. I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You come to Extreme today, 3:30. We have practice, whatever." So I got there. He introduced me to different people, and then he set me up with training partners. He's like, "Go over to this guy and go over here with this guy." And he said, like, if he welcomes you, he shows you, like, he helps you out. Like you go to some gyms and they just like you go there, you're just sitting in the corner, like, okay, let me just work. No, he's like, okay, no, this person will give you good work. This work, like, when's your fight? And I had a teammate. He's an up and coming guy. He did the same thing for him. He came into practice. He came out here for a few days, and Strickland set him up with everything. He even set me up with Coach D1, and he's been running my camp out here. In Georgia, it was Coach Philippe, and then out here it's been Coach Danny Davis, yeah, from Extreme.
All right, man. That's a great combination. Who have you been working with, man? There's a few heavyweight bodies out there at Extreme.
Yes. So some people had fights, so like I only worked with them like one or two practices. The last few practices have been Tim Johnson, Josh Hockett. He's a ex football player. He's but an All American wrestler, 2-time All American wrestler, and he's switching over to MMA. Young guy, great energy, great wrestling. So I've been doing a lot of my camp with him. Ngannou came back a couple weeks ago, so I got a few rounds with him. He's been real helpful too. So those guys are the main big guys as far as like practice partners. Got a few rounds with, like I said, Sean and Curtis. Yeah, but they're smaller and they move too much, so they tire me out. Yeah, I try to stick with the big guys as much as I can.
For sure, for sure. Your debut, man. You got Lukasz Brzeski. Thoughts on him and his style?
He throws lots of volume from the last fight that I've seen. You know, stand up kickboxer type guy. I only saw the contender fight and the UFC fight. I think one other fight from there, which was like a bad angle. So, I mean, he seems like an active guy. He's a lighter heavyweight from before. I'm not sure what he'll come in at for fight week, but he's a lighter heavyweight, so he moves more than like the bigger guys. So it should be a good one. Should be real active with the body types and how his last fight went.
Do you see a grappling heavy fight in this one? Do you think he'll be able to handle that from you?
Um, I haven't seen much of his fights with him grappling. Like I said, it's only the three, which he did have that red naked choke in the contender series. The guy didn't tap, but I mean, you still had it. You know, how many big guys really come out from there? Because he still had it like locked in pretty good. So I'm not sure where his grappling goes or how much his grappling background. I haven't seen too much. That's the thing. For me, I'm not able to like see certain things from his like background. So.
You don't even really see rear naked chokes happen in the heavyweight division at all, man. Like,
Nah, man, you get on the big boy's back. It's different. I was just talking about that in practice, man. You get on a big guy's back, unless they're like flat out on the ground.
yeah.
Most of the time they like roll over like this, and then you end up falling over the top. Oh yeah, so
Yeah, especially if the hips are heavy and you get flattened out, it's like
yeah,
very rare that someone gets up from that position, right? When you're pounding on someone's
man,
head.
you got to think. You coming at the limit. That's 265. That's over 500 pounds.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And being a heavyweight now, and you've had a couple of camps with this body type with the weight. How do you feel, man? Do you feel just as fast as you were at light heavyweight?
Feel just as fast, yeah. So I still feel the same. That's why we didn't like worry about packing on too much weight, because when I first went to the P, I was at 237. Two like in the 230s when I first went, and they gave me the meal plan and all the workouts and different stuff. And on top of that, the PI, they test you against your weight class. They don't tell you who, but you can see where you stack up against everybody in weight class, strength wise, and different performances. So it kind of helps give you an idea. So after doing that, I did pretty well on those benchmarks, and so it wasn't a big thing to like, hey, let's pack on weight or let's do a bunch of this stuff, because it wasn't like I was like below average. Like some of the stuff I was like, I think one thing I was below average on, and that was like body fat percentage, and it's heavyweight, so that's a different situation. But other than that, everything I was like pretty average and stuff. So yeah,
Well, that's a good thing, right? To be below average in body
yeah,
fat.
yeah. So like I always tell people, I don't want to look the worst at the PTO means. So
Yeah.
at least yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever take a peep though, like at the computer? You know, you say that they don't tell
No,
you,
you don't
but
even see the names.
you
You
don't see
just
the
see
name.
numbers.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So
That's
like when they give you the stuff, because they'll give you the printout
mhm,
of all your stuff. So when they do show it to you, like you see like the average numbers, and I think you see like the lowest on there. Then you see like the max number, like somebody didn't hit this mark, so you see that mark, and then you know where you kind of see where you're at. So they tell you like how many athletes tested in it and different stuff. So
Do you feel like you found a solid combination for your camp moving forward as well? Like, started your camp out in Georgia and then later on, after a few weeks, go to Vegas and take advantage of the PI and work at Extreme? Because I figured, like, at Team Lima, there's not many big guys, right? Or are they a lot of big
no,
guys?
not many big guys. We have Chris Barnett, but he still lives in Athens. So that's a drive for him, and he has a situation out there, so he'll train out there a good bit. We have another gentleman, Austin Green, but he lives far away. So like all the heavyweights live far away, and then it's like we have to like try to maneuver getting everybody to practice, you know. So that's the biggest thing. So most of the time I'm going with like smaller guys, quicker guys. But when you want like having like Tim Johnson on top of you, like I said, the gentleman Josh or Ngannou on top of you is a whole different energy system, whole different mindset than like with the smaller guys. You could kind of like you're getting a little bad thing. You kind of like muscle out of it. Like you're not muscling out that list of
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, for sure.
So.
Um, how do you expect to perform in your debut?
If I'm feeling the same way I'm feeling now, it should be a good one. It should. Yeah, we just had our I think last day of sparring yesterday, and it went it went great. So if everything goes as planned, it should be a good performance. Like I said, good striking. We've been working on stand up. I always work on striking since the Contender Series. My boxing coach, Coach Philippe, he told me, he's like, look, every day you're at practice, you box. So every single like we'll have pro practice, wrestling, striking, like sparring every single day afterwards. Get like an hour or two rest, and then back in the cage, pad work for like 5 or 6 rounds, 8 rounds, whatever. And that's every day. So that's what I've been doing since Contender Series. So yeah, the striking, we've been working on that. Like I said, being out here just tuning up, having the heavier bodies, because it works a different cardio, or it pushes the cardio a little bit different than like a smaller guy. Like you'll move quick, but you like quick bursts, and then you could kind of like settle in certain positions compared to like a big guy. That weight that you have to move changes everything. So I think we should be ready for a well-rounded fight wherever it goes.
Do you think that, since you've been working on your boxing, that Brzeski, he's gonna allow you to like show or even test the striking a little bit more than, let's say, compared to other opponents from last year?
Um, it just depends. You start hitting somebody, their game plan changes. I had a fight. I had one fight. I was fighting this boxer, and I stood up with him, and then he ended up reaching, trying to grab me, and he was a boxer base, and once he grabbed me, like in my head, I was like, okay, he's kind of done. So I ended up taking him down and finishing with ground and pound, but he's originally a boxer, so you can start off one thing, but then everybody, you start getting hit too much. The first thing you're gonna try to do is grab. You gotta find a way to have them hands stop moving towards your face. So, and that's where having a wrestling base and wrestling background comes in perfect, because if you do, even for me, like you start piecing me up, I might, take you down instead. Like, don't make any sense to stay up there, take that damage when I could, take you out, take you down, ground and pound you, instead of me standing up there and trying to figure out, okay, like how do I beat him? It's chess with the body. We're playing, it's a mental chess game out there. So we're trying to figure out, okay, like how can I outdo you? Like my jabs working better than your counters. Okay, well, I'll stay up and jab you to death until my hands probably get tired. Then, do something else. So yeah.
With the skill set that you have, if your opponent is trying to grab you, that's like the worst thing you could do, because that's just fall into the trap, right, of your
Yeah.
wrestling. So it's a scary situation, especially at heavyweight as well. March 11th, man, UFC Fight Night in Las Vegas. Go in the descriptions, download the AllStar app. Thank you so much, Carl, for the time, and all the
Thank
best in
you.
the fight, man. All the best in the debut. I mean, hell of a year in 2022. Probably going to be a better year for you in 2023.
Yes, sir. We're starting around early, so hopefully we get more lined up.